the sun comes up on America, across open fields, small towns, and city streets, a new day begins. And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
All right, good morning and welcome to it. This is Daybreak. We're fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. Three big things this hour. Number one, Republicans continue to hold the edge when it comes to the U.S. Senate seats. Despite the Democrats thinking they're going to take over both chambers, they're not. I've told you that for a while. Number two, on the subject of birthright citizenship, Ohio Senator Marino says he is going to introduce the exact same bill put forth by Harry Reid years ago for clarification and get everyone on the record. And number three, this Independence Day, families will gather under wide skies. Flags will wave from front porches, parades will wind through small towns and big cities, and fireworks will light up the night. While nations rise and fall, the American spirit has never been extinguished. This Independence Day, we don't just celebrate 1776. We celebrate that the fire lit by the founders is still burning bright in 2026, vibrant, powerful, and undimmed. From the first shots at Lexington to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, our ancestors bet everything on a radical idea that ordinary people, endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights, could govern themselves. They pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor not for a perfect nation, but for one that would strive toward perfection. That bet paid off beyond anything they could have imagined. We became the country that tamed a continent, ended slavery, defeated tyranny in 2 world wars, cured diseases, split the atom, landed on the moon, and invented technologies that connected the world. Through every trial, the Civil War, the Depression, world conflicts, and cultural upheavals, the American spirit still proved unbreakable. It adapts, it overcomes, it renews, and it fights back. President Trump captured this truth during his kickoff speech. Listen to this.
150 years ago, a new nation was founded by farmers and soldiers, shopkeepers and tradesmen who stood strong to defend their rights, their families, and their freedom from tyranny across the sea, from every city and town, from the mountains and valleys, from the backwoods and rocky shores. They came by the thousands to fill the ranks of American patriots and enlist their lives in the righteous cause of independence. That's what they did. This exceptional nation was forged and won by some of the bravest, toughest, strongest, most extraordinary people ever to stride the earth. Together we stand on the shoulders of incomparable heroes such as George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Abraham Lincoln, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, John Paul Jones, John Hancock, at Lexington and Concord, Brooklyn and Saratoga, Trenton and Yorktown, and at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. These real-life legends and American icons poured out their blood, sweat, and tears and risked everything they had to purchase and to live the most priceless and glorious inheritance of any people ever to be on this earth.
It is refreshing to have a leader who celebrates all of that. That spirit lives in the factory worker who shows up early, the farmer who feeds the nation, the teacher who stays late to help struggling students, the veteran who mentors the next generation, and the entrepreneur risking everything on an idea. It lives in parents who refuse to surrender their children's education to ideology and instead demand excellence, patriotism, and truth. This is who we are. We are a nation of builders and dreamers. We believe in merit, reward for hard work, and second chances. We innovate because something inside us refuses to accept limits, and contrary to the attempts at smears and fear-mongering among the left, we welcome legal immigrants who come here seeking freedom and opportunity, who learn our language, embrace our customs, and help make us stronger. While other societies stagnate under heavy bureaucracy or cultural despair, we keep moving forward. Look around today. You can see the proof. Here's an example.
under our leadership, America will also be a nation that dares to dream and to build again. We want to build again and dream again. The American dream is alive again. That's something that nobody thought they'd be saying when you went through that last 4 years of incompetence. For the 100th anniversary of our founding in 1876, America completed the Washington Monument, and the work began on the Statue of Liberty. For our 150th year, we built Colonial Williamsburg. Remember that, Colonial Williamsburg, how beautiful it was. For the 200th year, we built the National Air and Space Museum and renovated the United States Capitol. For our 250th anniversary, we are likewise building new monuments to American greatness.
And we're building more than just that. Under President Trump's leadership, American energy production is powering not only our homes, but our resurgence on the world stage. Manufacturing is returning. Communities once left behind are feeling new hope. Opportunity zones and pro-growth policies remind us that free enterprise, when unleashed, lifts everyone. Our military remains the most powerful force for peace and stability on earth because we invest in strength, not weakness. And most importantly, the national mood is shifting from decline and division toward optimism and pride. No longer are we led by men who feel this way about our founding fathers. Listen to this.
Union, the founders fell terribly short of the Declaration's promise, leaving slavery intact, allowing states to restrict the franchise to white men who own property.
It's possible for me to be a great admirer of George Washington and also acknowledge he was a slaveholder. And that does not negate his greatness. It simply acknowledges that there's a profound, deep flaw in these founding fathers.
Yeah, Democrats will demonize our founding fathers for as long as that party exists, and I don't know how much longer that is. Many of them are even less gracious than Obama. They think the entire framework for our great nation should be thrown out the window. It's why they felt that tearing down statues across the U.S. was an important part of fighting for democracy. It is no coincidence that division in America skyrocketed under Obama, but this year, on our nation's 250th anniversary, we celebrate how this nation came to be. Here's Secretary Brooke Rollins on the dedication of 13 statues at the Freedom Plaza that honor heroes of the American Revolution. Listen.
For a time, it all seemed hopeless, the tearing down of the statues, the erasing of our great American history. But it also seemed hopeless 250 years ago. When the Patriots first waged the war, they were a ragtag band of rebels standing up against an empire with no real prospect of success. They didn't succeed, as we know, for the most part, for a couple of years. Casualties piled up, territories were lost, provisions disappeared. It wasn't until the summer of 1780 that the tide finally turned in the Americans' favor. Until that point, the odds were long and the cause was hopeless. But some causes are worth fighting for, dying for, and never giving up, even when the prospects themselves are so dim.
Yeah, we fought through like we always do and will again. God bless America. More after the break on Daybreak. We fought, you and I did, for an America that our ancestors could be proud of, that our kids can thrive in, and I take joy in the fact that today we're closer to the ideal as opposed to farther away. We live in a nation that can and should be enjoyed. Nothing captures this enduring appeal quite like the 2026 World Cup. Tens of thousands of Europeans and visitors from all over the world descended on our stadiums and cities. They came expecting one thing and left profoundly moved by another. They experienced the scale of our country, the warmth of our people, the variety of our landscapes, the boundless energy of American life. Many openly admitted they had never felt anything quite like it back home. But Bill Maher may be a liberal, but he's not so far gone that he can't be warmed by all of this as well. Here's what he said.
I am loving that the World Cup has brought to our shores all these people who are doing Americans the service of reminding us, just when we needed it on our big 250 birthday, that actually this place is kind of awesome. And yes, I know, how dare I, how privileged when there are so many problems and threats and people left behind. All true. Yes, many problems. But that's because the name of our country is America, not utopia. And the appropriate comparison isn't to the Eden you might imagine, it's to every other place on earth. We can't be more perfect than what's in your mind. We can only be more perfect than Belgium.
And every place else. In many parts of Europe and beyond, people have grown accustomed to managed decline, high taxes, energy shortages, and cultural fatigue. Here they encountered a nation still reaching for the stars, confident, generous, and alive with possibilities. They loved it and still are. And in loving it, they reminded us of something profound. America remains the shining city on a hill, the place where dreams still come true because the spirit that built it refuses to die. This is the eternal American flame. It cannot be extinguished by temporary political setbacks or cultural noise. It burned through the Revolution, the Civil War, 2 world wars, and the Cold War too. It will burn through our current challenges because it's baked into who we are. Of course, we face real problems. No honest person denies that. But the difference between America and every other nation is our capacity for renewal. We argue, we debate, we course correct, and then we move forward. We do not tear down our statues in permanent shame. We build upon the greatness of those who came before. We do not surrender to envy and redistribution. We expand the pie so more people can thrive. We do not apologize for our success. We offer the model for others to follow. That boundless optimism defines us. It is why inventors keep inventing, why small businesses keep opening, and why parents keep dreaming bigger for their kids, especially today, when, as President Trump puts it, America is back. Here he is.
And just over 1 week from now, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, marking 2.5 centuries of glorious American freedom. And thanks to the extraordinary work and incredible devotion of patriots like those people in this very, very crowded ballroom, today I can proudly report that on the edge of our 250th year, America is back. It's back. It's back. I believe better than ever before.
I believe so too. So this Independence Day, stand a little taller. Look at your family, your community, and your country with fresh eyes like those visitors did. Thank the veterans who defended our liberty. Thank the pioneers whose grit built the foundation. Thank the innovators, the teachers, the first responders, and the quiet millions whose daily efforts keep the flame alive. Teach your children and grandchildren the true story of America. Not a tale of endless shame, but a story of unprecedented progress, courage, and human flourishing. The World Cup visitors saw it. Millions of Americans live it every day. The eternal American flame continues to warm the world as long as we guard it through strong families, sound education, free enterprise, secure borders, and an unapologetic love of country. There's no limit to what we can achieve in the decades ahead. We are not a declining empire. We are still a young nation, full of vitality, entering our 250th year with more promise than ever before. The founders lit the flame. Generations carried it forward. Now it's our turn. Let it burn bright. Let freedom ring. Let the world continue to marvel at what free people under God can accomplish. One nation under God can accomplish. I do want to say thank you, speaking of One Nation, to all of you who have downloaded the song that I put together with Ivy and Laura Kokenauer, One Nation. It has thrived beyond our wildest dreams here. It really has. Still sitting in the top 5 on iTunes. It's been there for days. It's been the number 1 Christian and gospel song in America for days in a row. It's a song of hope, a song of freedom, a song of America. And we appreciate you dialing into it. In fact, why don't we go ahead and play a preview.
From prayer to purpose to a promise that still stands. From Rav's own Steve Gruber comes One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. A powerful new American anthem for the 4th of July. Faith, freedom, and unity in every line. A new release through Real America's Music. One Nation. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project on iTunes.
One nation under God, may we always be the home of the brave and the land of the free. For every battle, blood was lost. God bless America, sea to shining sea.
Yeah. God bless America. Back after this.
The tradition.
I've told you for a while I don't believe the United States Senate is in question in the midterm elections. Some on the left believe that they can take the Senate. They'll have to take 4 Senate seats, flip 4. I don't think it's going to happen, and neither do the polls. New York Times Siena polls found Democrats leading in Senate races in North Carolina and in Maine. But Susan Collins is always trailing in Maine. Last time around, they told us she was going to lose by 10 points. She won by 9. Susan Collins connects us with the people of Maine, not the communists, but the ordinary folks. And I've read something here on social media today that I believe. There are a whole lot of Democrats, people that have voted Democrat their whole lives, that are horrified by what they're seeing. Horrified by the fact that these people that claim to be Democrats and really are not are taking over their party. They're horrified by what they see in New York City and Chicago and now Colorado, 1 seat there. These people are not Democrats. They're communists. And like the president said, this will never be a communist nation. Not on my watch and not on yours. I will fight it every step of the way. I will fight for your inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we do this Independence Day. Fight for America, the America that I love, the America that you love. Let me tell you something people keep asking me about, the QE infrared facial mask. This is red and infrared light therapy you can use at home to help support healthier looking skin, boost collagen, and soften the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Instead of expensive spa treatments, you just wear the mask for a few minutes a day. It's comfortable, easy to use, and fits right into your routine. It's the same mask that we use here in this house. People love the results. Skip the costly spa visits. Go to QEstrong.com, use the code Gruber, and you're going to get this mask for under $200. That's QEstrong.com. Promo code is Gruber. You're going to feel great about it. And look, you can scare the daylights out of the kids with it too. Look at that thing. It's beautiful. But most importantly, it works. QEstrong.com. Promo code is Gruber. Back with Hans von Spakovsky after this. Well, a lot of disappointment in the Supreme Court, no question. They've made some good decisions, but some awful ones. Birthright citizenship, an awful decision. And the way it was written and handed down makes it nearly impossible to overturn their decision, even by Congress, who has the right to, according to the amendment, the 14th Amendment, of course, pass laws. to support or promote the amendment. Hans von Spakovsky, a former federal election commissioner, senior legal fellow in AAF's Edwin Meese III Institute for the Rule of Law, join me now. Hans, nice to see you this morning.
Well, nice to see you too. Happy July 4th.
Yeah, Independence Day upon us here. God bless America, 250 years. But this decision on birthright citizenship basically says any pregnant woman on the planet right now is carrying a potential American around.
Right.
I mean, it's inconceivable. It's certainly not what was intended by the people that put this amendment forward. In fact, they talked about this specific thing, and yet Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts, can they read? Can they comprehend?
Look, I don't know what in the world got into them to do this, other than perhaps they feared the political consequences somehow of coming down the other way. Their recitation of history is totally wrong. And in very brilliant dissents, Justice Thomas and Justice Alito, point by point, illustrate how wrong they have gotten the history. And in particular, what you just said, the senators and members of Congress who sponsored the 14th Amendment, who were the architects of the Citizenship Clause in the 14th Amendment, all agreed, and their statements are in the record, that citizenship was not going to be given to the children of what they called temporary sojourners. That was their term for temporary visitors to the U.S. That covers anyone who's here illegally. It also covers tourists who are here. And yet somehow Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett joined with the liberals to say, oh, no, that's not what the 14th Amendment is. This has got to be one of the worst decisions in the history of the Supreme Court, almost as bad as the Dred Scott decision.
Does it leave any wiggle room? Does it leave, as I see it, the only solution that I can see is another amendment? Am I wrong? I mean, Kavanaugh talked about this a little bit, even though he concurred, really, which is confusing to me. But he concurred insofar as Congress has the right to lay out the legislation to give order to this amendment. Where are we, Hans? Can we fix this?
Well, obviously, a constitutional amendment would fix it, but you and I both know that the chances of getting that through Congress and 3/4 of the state is just about nil. On the other hand, all we would really need is a change in one justice on the Supreme Court, and they could perhaps revisit this decision and overturn it the same way they not too long ago overturned the very wrongly decided Roe versus Wade decision. The other thing that Congress should do starting immediately is there's a whole series of measures that should be taken to try to prevent this problem from occurring. I mean, to give you just one example, remember, all these high-tech companies use the H-1B visa program to bring in tech workers from abroad. Well, part of that visa process now should be it can't be issued to anyone who is pregnant, and any individual who becomes pregnant, any woman who becomes pregnant who's on an H-1B visa, that should be automatically give them the status of being deported immediately before they can give birth in the United States. Things like that throughout the entire immigration code is one of the things that Congress is going to have to do.
How do we end look, the Chinese are flying people to the Northern Marianas Islands. I mean, this has been going on for a while. The thing about this decision is it just maintains the status quo of where we had arrived, which was wrong to begin with.
Right.
But how do we prevent these Chinese from coming in, taking their baby, who's not American, home to raise them in Beijing and communist China, to return here, or maybe mail in a ballot from Beijing when they're 18, or run for president when they're 35 or older? I mean, that's what we have set up here for foreign raised actors raised under a system and antithetical to the American system to come here and run for political office. Of course, we've got that in New York and Colorado and elsewhere now, but how do we stop that, Hans?
Well, that's going to be almost impossible to stop. And in fact, Justice Alito talks about that as a grotesque, he uses that word, grotesque consequence of the majority's opinion. That's why the Department of Homeland Security, Customs is going to have to really start policing to make sure that women who are pregnant do not get visas to come into the United States. I mean, that's the kind of, I mean, those are small steps, but otherwise it's going to be hard to stop what this horrible decision is going to produce.
Yeah, it's frightening. You know, this Supreme Court gets some things so very wrong. Like you said, maybe as bad as Dred Scott on this one. But they got men and women's sports right. They got Election Day wrong. It's confusing to me how somebody like Amy Coney Barrett was able to get through as a conservative, as a textualist, when certainly she is not. How'd that happen?
Well, I'm not either, and like I said, this continues a pattern of the Chief Justice getting things wrong on really major cases. All you have to do is look back at the Obamacare case that he got wrong by joining the liberals. Look at the census case. Remember, he was the key to joining the liberals to stopping a citizenship question on the 2020 census. In key cases, he makes these kind of mistakes, and it's hard for me to believe it's not deliberate and intentional. The recitation of the supposed history of the Citizenship Clause, the 14th Amendment, is so wrong, it's hard for me to believe it wasn't intentional to cover what the end result that he wanted to get to in this case. And unfortunately, he had Amy Coney Barrett going along with him.
Apparently, she goes along with him on every bad decision. I mean, they're like partners in crime, Hans. Let's be honest. They're partners in crime. Good to see you here. Look, we've overcome Dred Scott. We've overcome a lot of obstacles.
Right.
I believe we'll overcome this as well. I'm just not sure what that path forward is going to be, but I remain optimistic. I have to. Hans, thank you for being here. Have a great Independence Day.
Thank you. And everybody else, I hope they do too.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, terrible ruling. How do you get around it? I'm not sure. But we'll keep sorting it out. Convention of States, Article 5, Constitutional Convention. I used to be against it. I'm not anymore. It might be the only path forward. Frightening, yes, but the path we're on is frightening already. I'll be right back on Daybreak. You know, these socialists that have taken over New York City and made inroads in other places, including Michigan and Chicago and now Colorado. We saw California, certainly. They all want to be like California. Tremendous amounts of government control, regulations. Well, how's that working out for California and the working men and women there? Not well. Looking at oil prices today, all the way down to $67 a barrel now. That's where it was when the war started, or even below. Right? Or below. Cheapest gas in America, the crown still goes to Indiana, $3.12 a gallon on average, $3.83 around the country. Anthony told me that it was $4.19 on his roll in this morning. Seems crazy to me that the people directly south of us in Indiana can buy gas for more than $1 less a gallon. You know, that's $20, $25, $30 every time you fill up. It's insane, to be honest. And the price of oil is so cheap now that gas should follow, but it hasn't. And so what's going to happen to these Democrats, these big Democrat states? Well, some of them continue to turn a blind eye, to ignore the obvious, to ignore the arsonists in the room that call themselves Democratic Socialists. People like J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, says, oh, we're a big tent. We have to embrace everybody. I mean, I get that he embraces the buffet, but communists, you won't have a buffet, Governor. You'll lose weight. It'll be awful. Listen to this.
Your party is in a bit of a moment right now following some elections here in New York. 3 candidates who identify as Democratic Socialist won their primary campaigns, several of them to oust the more moderate establishment members of Congress in their races. Do you think that's good? Are their victories good for your party?
I think what's good is that there are Democrats who are standing up and fighting, that there are Democrats who are standing up and talking about and doing something about addressing the high cost of things. Affordability is an issue that everybody is feeling all across the country. And any Democrat that is standing up and speaking out about that, coming up with solutions for that, and importantly, doing it in a manner that is focused on fighting what Donald Trump is trying to do to raise prices on people, I think those are the people who are winning. So I'm not suggesting that I had one candidate or another in any of these races. I'm just suggesting that that is the recipe for winning in 2026 and I think beyond.
So that's the recipe. Communism. What a fat fool. Dave Portnoy. He's got a better take on communists taking over the Democrat Party. Much better take. Listen to this.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at just what happened in New York. You had Mamdani raising the arm of a woman who literally started a foundation at Columbia with the express goal of overthrowing Western society. It's so absurd, you can't make it up. Another one in New York said, U.S. deserved 9/11. No borders, no police, no prisons. She actually, the woman, Chevalier, that Mamdani was endorsing and going to pub crawl, said she didn't want black men and Arab men to marry ugly, white, colonizing women. They said this. They tweeted this. By the way, Jalen Brunson, the king of New York, married to a Jewish woman. I wonder how he feels about that. These are anti-American. They hate America. Listen, one thing is communism. I'm obviously a capitalist and entrepreneur. If you want to argue, I want everyone to have affordable living and then be able to go in and get health care, that's one thing. But when you openly hate the country that you're running for office in, that's a very different thing. And these people hate American. You know what, Stuart? I trust what people say a lot before they're elected. When they get elected, a lot of these people are deleting their tweets, saying, oh, we changed. They don't want to talk about it. It's garbage, and it's scary.
That's right. They are not telling the truth. They say all these terrible things, and they delete their social media platforms. I'll never delete mine. Have I said things that offended people? Certainly. Maybe I should run for office. Maybe it's my turn to throw my hat in the ring. Maybe. And listen, I've got a battle. I'm going to leave you on a high note here, not a low note. How about a battle cry for the midterms? How about a battle cry for standing up for America on our 250th birthday? Listen to this.
Under Joe Biden, Democrats let in millions of illegal immigrants, straining resources, putting communities at risk, and Michigan Democrats chose them over you, supporting a tax increase on working-class families by $250 per month to give free health care to illegal immigrants. Dangerous criminals got the benefits you earned, and now they want your vote. No way. Reject Michigan Democrats and put Michigan first.
You know, there's a message for you. There's a message for you. By the way, Michigan, the primary here is August 4th. Abdul El Sayed, another anti-American guy, another socialist guy, is winning the race to be the candidate, to be the U.S. Senate candidate for the Democrats. Abdul El Sayed. Double-digit lead over Congresswoman Haley Stevens and way ahead of Mallory McMorrow, who I thought early in the cycle stood the best chance of coming out on top. She had gotten a lot of national traction and so forth because she had stood up and said, you know, normally crazy Democrat things, not wildly communist Democrat things. Apparently, it takes wildly communist Democrat things to get you elected in the Democrat Party. Today, you have to hate America, you have to hate Israel, you have to want to burn the country down. Everything's racist. Everybody is a bigot. That's what it takes to win in the Democratic primaries. In some places currently, the Democrats, I don't know. What happened to your party, guys? What happened to PT 109 and John F. Kennedy? What happened to your party, Democrats? Are you so lustful for power you'll let it burn to the ground so you can rule over the ashes? Honestly. I'll take a break and be back. It is Daybreak. Nice to see you today. I mentioned this at the top, and I want to mention it again. Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio, he's going to do something clever here right after they get back from their time off. He's going to revive a decades-old proposal from the former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. After Republicans pushed to end birthright citizenship came to a screeching halt at the hands of the Supreme Court. When I get back from recess, July 13th, I'm going to introduce the identical bill, he said. What it's going to do is highlight two things. The Democrats of today are nothing like the Democrats of 1993. And if they choose to reject a bill sponsored by the majority leader that they named an airport in Las Vegas after, then I think my Republican colleagues have no choice. We have to recognize that these Democrats want to systematically destroy this country. It's the Immigration Stabilization Act of 1993, a proposal put forth by Reid which would have revoked birthright citizenship, among other things. Section 1001 of Reid's bill, entitled Basis of Citizenship Clarified, said that children born to illegal immigrants on U.S. soil should not become U.S. citizens. At the time, he clarifies that a person born in the United States to an alien mother who is not a lawful resident is not a U.S. citizen. Harry Reid put that out. Democrats would attack him for that today. This part of the program brought to you by Great Lakes Pet Food. You want the best dog food your dog's ever going to have? Get an American-made product. Ivy and I, a few years ago, we wanted to find American-made dog food because we were reading all these horror stories about Chinese dog food killing people's pets. We said, man, we got to look into this. A little research, and I found Great Lakes Pet Food. They're in West Michigan. They produce the best dog food our dogs ever had. We've used it for years now. Real chicken, real pork, real turkey, real ingredients, not garbage, and not from China. Your dog will thrive. You'll be glad you did this. GreatLakesPetFood.com. Ship it anywhere in America. GreatLakesPetFood.com. If you're going to pay top dollar for food, make sure it's good food for your dog. You'll be glad you did. It's Daybreak. I'll be back after this.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now on Real America's Voice.
All right, welcome to it as we jump back into a brand new hour, fighting for you from the Foxhole of Freedom. Three big things to get to this hour. Number one, gas down for Independence Day. Oil hovering around $67 today. Gas just trickling down. Indiana still holding the prize for cheapest of all. Number two, missing American airmen, the focus of an intense search in the Arabian Sea. We'll keep you up to date on that story and how that happened. And number three, as we head to Independence Day, I invite the best part of the program back to join me. Ivy is here this morning. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
So what is on your mind today? I mean, we're almost to the 250th, and I see all these people saying terrible things. That's not me. And you know that. That's not me. I love this country.
Who's all
and I
these
can't
people?
Well, there are a lot of them, sadly. The Democrats have all these people winning elections that hate America, pretty clearly.
Yeah.
And it should be a wake-up call to all of us. There should be flashing red lights that, hey, the normal is gone. And the new normal are all these social, the free rent crowd. I want free stuff. I want free stuff. They want your stuff and my stuff, free stuff.
Sure.
It should be a wake-up call. That's all.
Well, they want equity, which is, equal
Free stuff.
outcomes. So I could work really hard, create a company, put everything on the line to make my company work, and
Yeah.
that other people want to receive the same benefit that I do if I become very successful by doing
Yeah.
nothing. That is
Exactly.
equity, equal outcomes. So, I think it is scary. I think that it's clear that a lot of people don't know what communism is. They don't know what socialism is. They don't understand or never experienced, socialism or like socialist medicine and,
Yeah.
universal health care, things like that. I mean, we kind of experienced that. We had a situation where you got injured in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and it was like a hybrid system, but it wasn't like an American hospital, even in a beautiful
No.
place like New Zealand.
Well, I have a friend of mine, and we're going to have him on here the next few weeks, got mauled by a bear in Canada, ended up in the hospital in
Hmm.
Canada. 9 doctors he saw. He had a broken arm, broken leg, broken ribs. He got pretty well banged up. Anyhow, he said of the 9 doctors that came to see him over the course of the few days he was there before he got shipped back to an American hospital, 3 did not speak English. 3 in Canada.
Wow.
And they didn't speak French. All right. They
Hmm.
didn't speak French or English, the 2 official languages of Canada. He said it was a high school senior who sat there in the chair, a young lady who actually directed his care because she understood the languages. She understood what was going on. He said without her, he doesn't know if he would have gotten out of there. That's socialized medicine for you right there. And he's going to tell
Yeah,
his
it
story
sure
on the
is.
show in the days to come.
It's something that we definitely need to keep an eye on, because as this rises in America, you can definitely see this, communism rising. And there are candidates all over the country now that are beginning to win elections, and we'll see what happens. Mamdani being one. But Steve, I want
Yeah.
to switch gears here because I want to play
All right.
something for you from the 250th, just to kick off my next question. Anthony, if you could play that.
After 250 years, the American experiment still isn't finished. It's been built, tested, carried forward, and fought for. And we passed it on, hand to hand, life to life. Generations ago, ordinary people risked everything to begin it. 250 years later, the work continues, because freedom is worth it. This year, America turns 250.
I
So
love
Steve,
that.
what is your most favorite moment in your life that just brings a sense of pride to your mind?
Wow, that's a really great question. I was at back in 1998. I was at a space shuttle launch. I was working for NBC News, a thing called News Channel. And John Glenn was going into space, 77 years old. Democrat, by the way. He wouldn't recognize his party today either. But I was standing there in the front row, and they lit that thing off, and the earth moved. And what was her name? She came back to me, the anchor. So she comes to me. I've got tears in my eyes. I am so proud to be an American. And she goes, Steve, you look like you're a little choked up. I said, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Gail. And she was wonderful. Anyhow, but I was so proud to see America do great things, sitting there watching STS mission, STS-95, the space shuttle take John Glenn back into space at the age of 77. I had a lump in my throat the size of a softball. It was awesome. It still gets me.
You know, one of the cool, I'm thinking about this as well, and it's really ironic because one of the space shuttle launches was one of my most memorable things too. And actually, I remember as a little kid, like, going to school, and then they would have it on television, and you'd gather around and you'd watch it, and it was like, oh, that's so cool. And it, of course, as I grew older, just watching those, I lived in Florida, so being so close to Cape Canaveral, you could see them go off all the time, just like you can see a lot of the launches today. But
Sure.
yeah, the space shuttle launches particularly were really cool.
Now you got me thinking about that question. What is the moment that I felt so proud to be an American? I was, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. I was sitting at home watching television on an old black and white Magnavox, like it used to be a piece of furniture, your television in your house. And, you had to
Yeah.
stand on one foot and point the rabbit ears this way. Anyhow, I was home alone for whatever reason. And I watched the Miracle on Ice. I watched the American hockey team defeat the Russians. And
So
I was
cool.
jumping up and down, screaming all by myself in that house because I don't know where my mom and dad were. They weren't there. They had gone out and done something that night. And I'm sitting there. And I found out later, actually, my dad wasn't there because he was actually at that hockey game. He had
What?
gone there.
Cool.
Yeah, he worked for Dow Chemical, and they had free tickets. The place was half empty. The Russians just a couple, 3 weeks
Mm-hmm.
earlier had beaten the tar out of them. They had no chance to win. And
Uh-huh.
my dad sat there next to the Sports Illustrated photographer, a woman who was taking photos for Sports Illustrated. He talked to her for a bit during the game before she got up and, to get other angles and so forth. But yeah, that was also a moment because it showed that we could beat communism, that we could beat this big red monster. And maybe that's what we need
That's
today.
right.
That attitude of that can-do attitude of America. So those are
Mm-hmm.
the things that come to mind. It's a great question, Ivy. I think you, the viewers, should think and share stories over the next few days, over the weekend through Independence Day. What is
Oh
your most
yes.
memorable moment?
Yeah, we would love to hear from you, and we'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about them on the
Right.
air. Um, but there are just so many things that makes America great. I actually remember my grandparents took me to New York City, and I actually saw the Twin Towers before they fell. I actually have a really cool picture of them like standing underneath, and I took them like looking straight up,
Yeah.
and visiting the museums there, and just marveling at how incredible. I mean, I'd never been to a big
America
city
really
like that
is.
before, so
What a
yeah,
great story.
pretty cool.
But you see, there it is. Your grandparents passing the torch. We need more of that. More parents and grandparents
Hmm.
saying America is a great place. I love this
That's
place.
right.
And that's a great story. Ivy, nice to see you. Love you.
Love you too, Steve.
All right. What is your best story? Go to stevegruber.com. Send us an email. Love to hear your best story that made you proud to be an American. Grab onto that right now because we are in the fight of our lives, folks. We're in the fight of our lives against these communists. We are. I'll be right back.
America's been overrun.
All right, we've been talking about love of country today on the eve of Independence Day 2026 and 250 years of America. The best memories you have, love to hear from you. Tell us what they are. The things that made you proud to be an American. Joining me is Frank Kelly III, the CEO of Kelly Benefits and the best-selling author of Love and Go. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Providence. This nation was guided by the hand of Almighty God, not according to me, but according to people like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and others. Faith in America has been a key to this country's success, isn't it?
Absolutely. Going back to the beginning, and you as you study and read about George Washington and God's hand upon him and upon the development of our country, there were a lot of things that happened, I think, that can only be considered and surrendered to divine providence. God's blessing upon the founding of this country, the growth of this country, and the continued success of this country. And George Washington modeled that in many ways.
You know, he was a soldier for the British Army in the French and Indian War, 1754. He had bullet holes in his coat, and he had one of the native leaders came to him later and said, "You must have had the hand of God on you because I tried to kill you 13 times myself."
Right.
13 times. One guy shot at George Washington. He had holes in his coat. He had horses shot out from beneath him, and he survived all of that. That's a remarkable series of events to have that, because but for Washington, we wouldn't be here, would we?
No, not at all. And that story is famous, and with 4 bullet holes in his jacket, but he didn't get hit. And again, God's providence, God's protection, God's blessing. We see as George Washington led the Continental Army, the Battle of Long Island, he was cornered. Fog came in. He and his army, the Continental Army, were able to escape 9,000 men. And we see the Battle of Valley Forge and Washington crossing the Delaware River again under significant odds against him and his army. And a mini blizzard came through, and they were able to cross the army and be protected and provided for. Without those interventions, we may not have a country today. So God's hand was clearly on George Washington and on the founding of our country.
And so many other times in American history, Gettysburg, for example, D-Day, the Battle of Midway. We had no chance of winning the Battle of Midway. It was completely impossible. Outmanned, outgunned, outnumbered, and yet somehow we rose to the occasion and turned back the Japanese at the Battle of Midway. That's one that always comes to me as a remarkable turn. It must occur to you as well.
Absolutely. Incredible. I don't always understand it. We don't, but God's hand of blessing, protection, provision, providence. There's a psalm that says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards over the city, they stand guard in vain." And God's blessing, protection, and provision are key to the success of our country. And we see these incredible battles and victories over the years, and know that without God's hand and blessing, I don't know that we'd be here today.
Yeah. Where do we go from here, Frank? COVID, they shut down the churches but kept the strip joints, liquor stores, and other places open, apparently, right? But the churches were closed. And if you dared to hold your service, they would arrest the pastor and others. In Canada, they were worse. Where are we with this today? I see young people, young men especially, going back to church in much larger numbers than we've seen in a long time. And that's a good sign, but it's not enough. Our founding fathers said that this nation had to be a moral nation to thrive.
Well, we've been given free will by our Creator to choose right or wrong. We're hoping, Steve, I know you, the work you do, myself, want to see people draw close to God and surrender and submit their ways to Him. And, we saw our founding fathers turn to Him again and again. Even in the formulation of the Declaration of Independence, which we celebrate this weekend, it's an incredible document that God's hand was all over. And I think we're challenged to turn not just to our own reason, but to our God and our Creator who gives us that wisdom and reason. And I think we need to encourage and spur one another on. We need to model a life of surrender to God and encourage our children, our families, our friends, and others to seek Him first. And you referenced my book, Love and Go. It's kind of over my corner. It's talking about how to live out God's great commandment to love Him completely, love others compassionately, love yourself correctly, and then go and share God's love and truth in word and deed. And part of that is prayer and submission to Him. And all prayer really is communication with God. It's a simple conversation with God. And again, our founding fathers modeled that throughout the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, and in the forming of our Constitution, which came 10 or 12, 13 years after the Declaration. So without God's hand, I think we're in great trouble.
I would agree with that. This nation needs to come together and be one nation under God, that's for sure. Tell the folks where they can find your book.
Again, Love and Go, 12 Powerful Truths for a Blessed Life. It's on Amazon. Also have a website, Frank Kelly III, Roman3.com. And it's full of fun, practical truths that can make a difference in your life day to day. And we learn a lot from history. As I just think real quickly about the Declaration of Independence, the way it finishes, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledged each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And, I think God wants us to give our lives to Him and then to be a part of an incredible country where we see our founders were all in. They were all in. And as we celebrate our 250th, that's a big part of it. So, my book covers a lot of that on Amazon and at my website. Thank you, Steve.
Frank, thank you. God bless America. Happy Independence Day, sir. Thank you.
Amen. God bless you. Peace.
More on Daybreak, straight ahead. Here's coming out more and more, and I just read this great article by Steve Bannon. He said, if you are just dismissing New York as, well, it's just New York, and you're dismissing Colorado, well, it's just Denver, don't do that. The lights are flashing red all over the place because the Democrats have lost control of their party, but the Republicans, what are you doing? The old arguments of war and lower taxes, that doesn't play anymore. These people want free stuff. The people are in the yard with the pitchforks and they're angry and they want to burn the place down and they want your stuff, free stuff, all of it. They think that they're owed something because they were born here or they broke in here. I'll be on with Bannon a little bit later today on his program, War Room. But boy, does he nail it. It's a Politico article. Go ahead and look that up. It's a good read. You'll be glad you did, I'll tell you that. For the first time since World War II, our national debt held by the public is now exceeding GDP. America, this is another wake-up call. The sins of our past, reckless government spending have caught up to us. So what's next? More inflation, higher prices, higher cost of living, more socialists, and higher interest payments on the national debt. Every dollar Washington spends on interest is a dollar it has to tax, borrow, or print. Smart retirement planners prepare for potential setbacks, and they can do that by diversifying with a time-tested asset known for weathering the storm, physical gold, from my friends at Birch Gold. All you need to do is text the word America to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free information kit on converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. You don't pull the ripcord on your parachute once you already hit the ground. Don't wait for economic turbulence to diversify. Text America to the number 989898. Again, text America to 989898. Own some gold from Birch Gold. You'll be glad you did. Coming up after the break, we're going to be joined by Laura Kokenauer. She is the voice, the beautiful singer on One Nation. Also, somebody who believes that Providence is working today in America. We'll talk to Laura and Ivy after the break. Welcome back to Daybreak. Glad to see you here as we head toward Independence Day. A lot of great things to celebrate in this country, and celebrate we will. The naysayers, they can do their own thing. I don't care. We've been talking this morning and just talked to Frank Kelly and talked to him about providence in American history. We wouldn't be here 250 years on without providence and the hand of God guiding us through incredibly difficult things. And I got to be honest with you, folks, I feel the same way about something that's happened here this week. The song One Nation that we put out last Friday has been the number one Christian song on iTunes for like 6 days running. It's been in the top 5, as high as number 2. Ella Langley, she's hard to move, and that's okay. She loves this country too. And joining me now, the two people that I worked with on creating this song, Ivy, my beautiful wife, and Laura Kokenauer, one of my pastors, who is the beautiful voice of One Nation. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Laura, I just feel like we are very blessed this week. We've shared a lot of conversations back and forth. Can't believe, look at the song. It's at 25. It's at 20. It's in the top 5. It's still in the top 5, and it is this morning. How does this? I mean, this has got to make you. I don't know how it makes you feel, Laura. Tell me.
I'm blown away. I'm so thankful. I'm thankful to America for getting in there and helping us. Even last night, we were getting phone calls that this is going all over the churches in America. And we've had pastors calling, and they're sharing with their congregations, and the congregations are sharing with everybody, and they're playing the videos. And I'm just so ecstatic about it. I believe this song is bringing unity across the nation, and it's flying across the churches. And I'm just so happy to see that. I'm just blown away. It's amazing. Yeah.
Ivy, you and I have talked at length about this. It's been stressful for me. It's like, I'm looking at because we keep getting these updates from Real America's Music that made this possible. And LJ is our handler, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Mhm.
Look, here you are. It's like, and it's like, yeah, but hope we hold our spot. Anyhow, Ivy, 6 or 8 weeks ago, this was not on our list of things to do, or whenever we started this, not very long ago. You know, you and I, we do our goals to start the year. This was not on the list, Ivy.
It was
and
not.
all of a sudden,
Yes,
so blessed.
it was not.
Tell us.
It was not
Tell
on
me.
it was not on the horizon at all. And I've been blessed to get to know Laura and attending her church and becoming a dear friend of hers. And I actually asked if she could help me learn to play piano. And as I watch her play piano and create music, I just shared this with you, Steve. I was like, Laura is a really gifted musician. And you started talking to the folks at Real America's Music, and you actually created a song. What was it, a couple of years ago? Excuse me, for another program that you were creating. And you're like, maybe we should make some new music. And like, you should talk to Laura. And that's exactly how all this came about. And now we are at this current moment sitting at number 4 on the iTunes charts. Primarily because these people from World Cup who love America are listening to that John Denver song. And so John Denver's at number 1 right now, which
Country
I can't,
road.
fault them for doing. But
Yeah.
listen, this is an incredible country, and it was found on Christian values, and we have to remember that, never forget that. So
Well,
I'm very blessed to be part of this project.
as we all are. Laura, we've been talking this morning with people and asking them favorite memories of America. You know, what you
Yeah.
feel as you come towards the 250th, Laura. What are some of the things you think about when you think about this country on the eve of this Independence Day celebration coming up Saturday?
Well, I'm thinking about America. I think that America is the most blessed nation in the world, Steve. And I go back and think about our roots. This country was born and founded on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And, even in our song, it talks about George Washington, the first president, how he prayed for this nation. And I just believe that this country, we need to go back to that, back to the beginning, back to the roots. And I'm just feeling so thankful that this nation is still one nation under God. I'm just so
Yeah.
thankful for that. And I'm just loving it. I'm loving what's going on.
Yeah, me too. As a pastor, obviously, we went through COVID and they closed the churches. You guys didn't close your doors. You were one of those folks that said, you know what? If the liquor store can be open, we can get together and have
That's right.
service. So you stood firm against that then. Where do you see the church now? Where are we going? I mean, I see young men are coming back into the churches and so forth. What's your hope?
That's right. My hope is that we will have a comeback to the church. You know, during COVID, many of the youth, many people just walked out the church doors, and right now I'm seeing a flip on that, and people are coming back to the church. You know, Generation Z. You know, this is what Generation Z is saying. We want the authentic. We want the real, and they're looking for that. They're looking for God. And so they're starting to come back to the churches and they're starting to pull their friends in. And my hope is that this nation has a revival and we really do become one nation under God. And that's my hope. And we are seeing that right now. And I'm just
I
so
think that's true.
thankful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great words. People are asking what's next. And I have to tell them, I don't know yet. We've been throwing around some ideas, you know.
Yeah.
We've got to deliver now, Laura, because you've become world famous.
I know.
And if this goes to the churches, like you talked about, and thank you to Bella, by the way, who really sets this song off. I cannot
Absolutely.
miss saying thank you to Bella. But Anthony, go ahead and roll that promo one more time, please.
From prayer to purpose to a promise that still stands. From Rav's own Steve Gruber comes One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. A powerful new American anthem for the 4th of July. Faith, freedom, and unity in every line. A new release through Real America's Music. One Nation. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project on iTunes.
One nation under God, may we always be the home of the brave and the land of the free. For every battle, blood was lost. God bless America, sea to shining sea.
And I just want to say thank you again to all of you watching that have downloaded this song on iTunes or Amazon or wherever. You can see the official video that you saw a chunk of there on the YouTube channel, Steve Gruber, or Real America's Voice, wherever you might be, you can find it. Laura, thank you. And the people are loving on you here in the chat this morning. They think you should have your own show, actually. So there you go. There's your next challenge.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. And Steve and Ivy, I just want to say how talented you are and how much I appreciate working with you. You guys are awesome. It's just been so much fun. And I'm looking forward to more coming.
More coming. Ivy, Laura, God bless you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you out there watching as well, because we couldn't do this without you. So thank you, America, all of you. This is Daybreak. I'll be right back. All right, so I saw something yesterday that it really caught my attention. I had to stop and look. I thought it was fascinating. First of all, Donald Trump rolled into North Dakota on the Freedom Train. Very cool. Rolls into North Dakota on the Freedom Train. And he was going to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. They've done this big tribute to Teddy Roosevelt. His mother and wife died on the same day in New York. And Teddy Roosevelt left politics and he went to the Badlands and became a cowboy, if you didn't know. And it was a remarkable journey that really toughened him up. He had been to the depths of despair. His wife, the love of his life, and his mother dying in the same house on the same day. Can you even imagine? And he still rose to greatness. Teddy Roosevelt, to me, is the American. He is the American. No matter what got in his way, he pushed his way through. The first NYPD commissioner. And when he came in, he found corruption in the New York City Police Department. He started firing people. Boy, he was hated. He cleaned the place up. He took on John Rockefeller and Standard Oil, the robber barons. He stood toe-to-toe with all of them and said, every American deserves a square deal. Yeah. But here's what really caught my attention. President Trump was able to talk to Teddy Roosevelt yesterday. Watch this.
Every day a president faces storms most people never see. Keep your nerve and remember the nation comes first. You get through. I know you know that feeling yourself.
Well, I appreciate those words. Those words are fantastic. And I just want to say it's an honor to be with you today. We are making a little bit of a tour, some of the fantastic things you've done.
There's AI at work for you. President Trump talking to Teddy Roosevelt in part of that museum, if you will. Here's another part. The president asked Teddy Roosevelt about the Panama Canal, which, by the way, the French had failed to build for years and years. And Teddy Roosevelt came in. This was one of the first points of what America could do. Create great things and do great things. Here's Donald Trump and TR again. Listen.
Do you consider the Panama Canal your greatest achievement?
Well. Right then, yes.
Good answer.
The canal stands as one of my proudest battles, no question. But greatness is a strange thing. It isn't always the biggest or boldest job that matters most. Panama Canal showed what America could achieve if we held steady and acted fast when the world dragged its feet. That said, I measure my greatest work by the lives improved. Parks set aside, food and drugs made safe, the square deal given to all, not just to a few. Still, when I stood in the mud watching those steam shovels, knowing ships would pass through, changing the world's map forever, I felt I'd left a mark that would last.
Okay, you did. Thank you.
A square deal for every person in America. You know, maybe that's the wake-up call. I was telling you here moments ago that I read this article by Steve Bannon that just came out saying, do not ignore what's happening with this insurgency in the Democrat Party. Don't say, well, it's just New York or it's just Denver. It's just... No. These are flashing red lights. It's a fire alarm, a 5-alarm fire. And maybe what TR was saying there is what the Republicans have to tap into again today. The folks, the average folks, making sure they have a fighting chance in America today, making sure they're not being strangled at the gas station or the grocery store by the cost of everything. And I'm not saying free rent. That's what the left is offering. Free rent to everyone. Here's free stuff for you, vote for me. Here's free stuff for you, vote for me. It never works. Look around the world. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in the deep blue cities, many of which are in terrible shape today. But the Republicans should take a page from Teddy Roosevelt. That freedom train is just like the train that Teddy Roosevelt barnstormed around the country on. in 1904, running for re-election, shaking the hands of working people, talking to ordinary folks about their challenges, what it was like to live in America, what it took to survive the day and the week and the year, to build strong families. Maybe we should pay attention to what Teddy Roosevelt said about several things. A hyphenated American is no American at all. If you're this and then American, if you're Hispanic American or German American, whatever, either you're an American all in or you're not. And that's part of the problem here today, folks. People want to be this and that. Well, yeah, I'm an American, but I'm this first. No. A hyphenated American, as Teddy Roosevelt said, is no American at all. And let me tell you something. I love the culture. I love the great melting pot. I love the food, obviously. But I am an American. And we can celebrate the cultures of other people, but you have to assimilate. Respect our traditions. Respect our heritage. And that's what these Europeans and these people from all over the world have been seeing as they travel around America, watching soccer and meeting people like you and me, engaging in conversations, seeing the splendor of our national parks and the oceans and the mountains, Buc-ee's and Waffle House and everything in between. It's a great country, my friends. If they're going to try to burn it down, I'm coming with a big fire extinguisher. We're going to fight for this place the same way Teddy Roosevelt would have, with everything I've got. And you too, I hope. It's worth fighting for. I'm not just going to surrender and say, well, that's New York. I'm not giving up New York City. I'm not giving up Denver or Seattle or Chicago or Detroit or anywhere else for that matter. All of those cities contributed to making America 250 years. And we need them for the next 250. God bless America. I'll be right back. All right, let's jump in on sports now with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The United States men's soccer team is through to the round of 16 at the World Cup. This after shutting out Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-0 last night at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Folarin Balogun and Malik Tillman scored for the Americans. The U.S. will play Belgium next Monday night in Seattle in the round of 16. In other World Cup action, England beat the Congo 2-1, and Belgium rallied from 2-0 down to beat Senegal in extra time 3-2. Another massive trade in the NBA yesterday as the Boston Celtics sent former NBA Finals MVP Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George and 4 future draft picks. Brown was second-team All-NBA this past season. And in Major League Baseball, a full schedule. American League winners included Baltimore, Cleveland, and the Athletics. National League winners included Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Colorado. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. For 250 years, the promise of America has been the freedom to build something of your own, and for millions of families, that dream begins with owning a home. But in the blink of an eye, that American dream can turn into a nightmare. With just some public information and a forged signature, criminals can legally transfer your home ownership into their name, and getting it back can take months, even years, thousands in legal fees just to reclaim what was already yours. That's why we trust the experts at Home Title Lock with 24/7 title monitoring, urgent alerts, and a 100% fraud restoration success rate. They fight for property owners and their loved ones against this growing crime. And to celebrate America's 250th birthday, they're giving you, my audience, 25% off up to 2 years in title fraud protection. That's over $100 in savings and peace of mind, plus a free title history report to ensure you're not already a victim. Use my promo code Gruber25 at HometitleLock.com today and get protected. HometitleLock.com. Look, don't get caught up in this. Don't let me make you the next headline. All right? Go to HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber25. You'll save $100 right now because you're watching this program. Thank you for being here, by the way. Happy Independence Day. I'm going to take a break and be back with more in just a moment.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now.
All right, welcome back to it as we jump back into the third hour here of the program here today. Nice to see you on the eve of Independence Day 2026. Glad you are on board with us here. I'm going to call it the Freedom Train, the Truth Train, fighting for you from the Foxhole of Freedom. Three big things this hour. Number one, the price of oil all the way down to $67 this morning. That's where it was when the war in Iran started on the 28th of February. So back to where it started. Number two, what about Iran? Where are we in that conversation? We've not heard much recently. No exchanges of hostilities for at least a day or two. It's a good sign. And number three, I want to share this with you because the media gives the president and Republicans 95% negative coverage. They'll embrace these socialists winning in Denver or New York or wherever. They'll give positive spin to Graham Plattner, the guy that sported a Totenkopf Nazi tattoo for 20 years of his life and then tried to lie about it. I didn't know what it was. Well, that's funny because your girlfriend said you bragged about what it was. In Michigan, I see that latest papers right here. Abdul El Sayed, a guy who hates America for the most part. He is leading to be the Democrat candidate for the United States Senate seat that's being vacated by Gary Peters. Mike Rogers will be with me in just a few minutes. He's the Republican running for that position. I'll also have John James with me, running for governor in Michigan, the Republican congressman from Michigan. He'll be here in just a few minutes. But yesterday, a reporter, I talk about the media, a reporter tries to give a gotcha question to President Trump. They do it every day. It's almost a sporting event, I think, for the president. Here comes a curveball, dirtbag question about him profiteering on the White House. All right, so here's what he had to say about it.
Hey, Mr. President, your financial disclosure shows you had a very lucrative year last year. What message does this send to average Americans, especially those who may be struggling right now financially?
I don't get involved in my personal. We have funds that run my money.
But you are benefiting.
Well, I've made a lot of money before I became president, and they invest my money, and I don't talk to them. I don't even speak to them. So I have many people, I don't know what they call it, closed accounts or something. You put your money in, and that's it. I don't talk to them. They're big institutions, and they run it. But yeah, I've had a great career. In business, I've had a great career.
Concerns about conflict of interest?
I don't know if I've had a better career in politics or business, but I had a great career in business. And, you saw the cash, and you report the different things. And what they do is we gave it, I think it's called a blind account, but they take it. And I never speak to any of the people that run the money, but they're at big institutions, and they invest in whatever they invest in.
But to critics who say you're profiting off the presidency, Mr.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. If you have a 401k, how's your 401k done? It's about up 85%. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, President Trump. The stock market, the Dow at 52,305. 52,305. If you're retired, if you have any investments in the market, NASDAQ is at 26,000. The S&P 500, almost 7,500. These are numbers that people just honestly can't believe. They are remarkable numbers, and to me, I think that a thank you might be in order if you're retired, because he continues to move the market. Now, is it always going to be that way? No, we're going to have a 10% correction at some point. They'll blame him for that, of course. But just think, if there was balanced coverage from the national news media, NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, whoever, if there was balanced coverage, even somewhat, let's say Donald Trump got 25% positive coverage, what would that mean to the polls out there? All right. Here's something else. I've seen this for a couple of days. Governor Whitmer here in Michigan came out here a couple of days ago and said, we need to put a high-speed rail system in Michigan. Really? For what? You haven't fixed the roads. We've got dams and bridges and other infrastructure that are in dire need of repair or replacement. And you want to put in a train track, like California that spent billions of dollars and haven't even gotten one train on the tracks and probably never will? So here's the response that I found. One of them I found online. I find it pretty entertaining. Here it is.
Jocelyn Benson is trying to California our Michigan. Just a few days ago, she stood right here where I'm standing and tried to convince that above all else, what Michigan needs right now is, you guessed it, high-speed rail. Forgive me for getting deja vu, but look at how that's panned out for California. They spent $13.8 billion, spent 20 years to lay a whopping 0 miles of track. For that project to get completed somehow, it's going to cost $213 billion. Why don't we focus on fixing our roads first? That was Governor Gretchen Whitmer's core campaign promise, right? To, quote, fix the roads. Whatever happened to that? Well, since 2019, when she took office, state spending has increased 43%. But in that time, our roads are crumbling faster than they can be fixed. To pave the way for a sustainable future in Michigan, let's focus on the basics and not get off track. While Gretchen Whitmer, Jocelyn Benson, and Democrats chase pipe dreams, House Republicans are laser focused on delivering concrete results. No pun intended. Last year's budget produced $2 billion for roads and bridges, investing in infrastructure that gets you to places where you want to be, like work, school, or your favorite local spot.
Can you imagine? This is the big push now. High-speed rail. For what? For who? I have a better idea. For a fraction of 1%, give them Uber cards. Look, you put people to work, Uber drivers, and I think that about municipal bus lines as well. Get rid of all these big community bus lines. They all have them. Detroit, Grand Rapids, Lansing, every big city has their own, bus system. Get rid of it. Give them Uber cards. It'll be cheaper, more effective, get people exactly where they need to get, not somewhere out 3 blocks from home or 10 blocks from home or whatever it turns out to be. Give them Uber cards. It'd be much more sensible. And it would help the economy. I mean, if you're going to pump money out, make sure that it pumps into the economy. That would be my argument to you. Boy, I slept great again last night on the Ghost Bed. I got a call yesterday from a viewer in Alaska that I've gotten to know a little bit. Matt gave me a call, and he said, we're talking about some other things about Alaska and fishing and different things. And then he said, I bought a Ghost Bed. And I said, and? He says, I love it. He goes, I've always slept well. I sleep better now. Well, thank you, Matt. There's a vote of confidence from way up in Homer, Alaska. Matt getting the Ghost Bed. He's not returning it. You can try it for 101 nights. If you don't like it, you call them back up and they'll come pick it up and take it away. No risk. It's an American-made sleeping system. Ghostbed.com. Promo code is Gruber. You get 101 nights to check it out. I love it. Matt loves it. His wife loves it. I think you will too. And if you don't, they'll take it back. There is no risk. You're going to sleep better. I guarantee it. I do. I guarantee it. Ghostbed.com. 4th of July sale. An extra 10% off right now. Financing if you need it. Ghostbed.com. Promo code Gruber. I'll be right back.
Do you receive
All right, welcome back. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to say it again. You can't dismiss what's happening in New York or Denver or Seattle and say, well, that's just the fringe Democrats. No, it is a warning to America. There's a transformational political moment happening right now. And Republicans have to respond to the people. They have to respond in a way that connects with people the way Teddy Roosevelt did. That's where I saw Donald Trump yesterday. You have to connect a square deal for everyone. Not free stuff for everyone, because that's what the other team is offering. Your stuff to somebody else so they can get a vote. My next guest is hoping to stop that from happening in the great state of Michigan. Mike Rogers, an Army veteran, businessman, former FBI special agent, and former congressman, my congressman, who chaired the House Intel Committee when he was there. Mike, nice to see you this morning.
Steve, it's always good to see you. Thanks for having me.
It's a transformational moment right now. We cannot ignore, because I'm looking at the brand new polling from Peak Insights here. Abdul El-Sayed is going to be your likely opponent because he's double digits ahead of the Democrat field. And here's another guy who embraces these socialist ideas, seems to hate America, seems to be anti-Semitic, and a whole host of other problems. And the Democrats don't seem to care. It's shocking to me. What do you say?
I mean, and you see this all over the country. This isn't just Michigan. I mean, this is the guy that campaigned with a guy who openly was saying that America deserved 9/11 and he wouldn't disavow it. That's a clear sign that you're not, you don't love your country. And it is concerning. And they're trying to prey on people's concerns and worry about making their bills, make the checkbook last to the end of the month when all the bills are due. And it's unfortunate, but it's catching on and it's catching fire. And we need to talk about what they're advocating for. Remember, they're not giving you free stuff. In order to do that, they have to take something away from you, mostly your freedom of choice and the kind of decisions you like to make in your life every single day. Guess what? That goes away. The government will ration your health care. The government will decide what companies can get access to the next generation technology because they want the government to own these things. It's when you look at socialism in its form, remember when Chavez came to power in Venezuela, he said, no, I'm not a socialist, I'm a Democrat socialist, and it's different. Guess what we found out, Steve? It ain't a bit of difference.
Not one bit.
No, it just absolutely failed.
Look,
they
put the word Democrat. They put the word Democratic Socialist in front. It's camouflage. That's all. They're just trying to hide what they really are. These people are socialists. They're communists. That's a fact. Period. What can you do? I mean, I feel if Abdul El-Sayed is your opponent, that you're going to win the Senate seat. And I know you're hustling all the way from Monroe to Marquette and all points in between, shaking hands and talking to people. What is it that you need to do, that Republicans need to do to hang on to the United States Senate and maybe even the House?
Well, it's different in Michigan, and the reason our polling is so strong is we're connecting to Michigan voters. I worked on this car assembly line. I understand people. I understand manufacturing. I understand what the state needs. And what I've been telling people is, listen, we've tried for 32 years, two individuals of the same party who think the same and talk the same and vote the same for 32 years. And Michigan is worse off for it. I mean, we've lost a lot of our defense industrial base in the last 10 years. We've lost over 30,000 manufacturing jobs. We have now the highest utility rates in the Midwest, 17% higher than the national average. We have the highest auto insurance rates in the country, thanks to the Democrats. And so when you start adding up all of these things, we keep talking about this is our chance, Michigan, for a change. The national issues are the national issues. And yes, they still want to have open borders. I don't understand it, but they do. And all of that. But we're talking about Michigan issues and how we get Michigan back up off her knees in a place that people want to stay and come to build a life where families can, have the opportunity to buy a house and pay their bills and get good jobs. Guess what? That takes work. And the Democrats have worked against all of that. They have walked by working families for the last, in the Senate's case, 32 years. And that just has to end. So change election, better, brighter future. We're going to protect families. We're going to protect your freedom, and we're going to protect your factories to get this thing done. And that's why I think we're doing as well as we are across the state.
I think that's true. The big idea from the Democrats in Michigan right now, high-speed rail, because that's what we need in Michigan is a boondoggle like they had in California. Apparently, Mike, it's just like, you want what? I mean, you wonder what they had for lunch when they make comments like that.
They
But
are
people
so
do need.
wildly
Go
out of
ahead.
touch. Why they're just so wildly out of touch? I mean, they think that that's being innovative, and in the meantime, they're chasing manufacturers out who are really being innovative in next generation high-end manufacturing. We ought to be all about it. High pay, good jobs, stable jobs, and they want to build them here, but the state of Michigan is not making it a very friendly place to be. You start by
No.
electing a U.S. senator who's going to help highlight the importance of Michigan manufacturing.
Let me do a quick compare and contrast. This morning, the average gasoline cost in Indiana is $3.12. It's $4.19 in Michigan, $1.07 more per gallon. Put gas your car than Indiana. Maybe they're onto something, Mike. Like, get out of the way, let them innovate. People are going to Indiana, Ohio. They're eating our lunch. We need to get back in the game. Last word to you, and tell the folks where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Listen, all of this is important. And you mentioned Indiana just quickly, less taxes, less regulatory burden. Their income tax is about half of what it is in Michigan. If we are going to compete, we need a change here. I'm going to be that change in the United States Senate for the first time in 32 years. We'll have a senator that cares about Michigan. Secondly, reach out. We need you. If Abdul El-Sayed is the nominee, and it certainly looks like he is, he wants to take not just Michigan, but the country in a direction that we can't recover. Less opportunity for your kids. Our kids' education gets worse, not better. Job opportunities get worse, not better. And the government has a lot more influence in your daily life. None of that is a good outcome. So go to RogersForSenate.com. Join us. We need help. Listen, if it's a $10 contribution, it helps. The Democrats have money on trees. I don't know how they do it, but they raise ungodly amounts of money. We just need
I
to
have ideas how they do it. I'm not sure it's above board. Mike Rogers, always a good conversation. Keep up the good fight, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
They want high-speed rail. Jocelyn Benson and Gretchen Whitmer want high-speed rail. They haven't fixed the roads, right? Everything in Michigan is going the wrong way. We have a net negative migration, which means we're losing residents. We are the only state in America that I'm aware of in the last 2 years that raised income taxes. Matt Hall is doing yeoman's work. Matt Hall is the State House Republican leader and the leader of the State House because Republicans have a majority there, thankfully. Otherwise, we'd really be in trouble. And here he says there's another problem in Michigan. While they're talking about high-speed rail and squandering money there, maybe they should think about this. Roll it.
Focusing on real-life skills and preparing kids for actual careers, solving the literacy issue that we're working on that involves early childhood spending, the letters training. That's a big one we're working on today, the letters training. Training the teachers on how to teach phonics, which now they call the science of reading. So we need the teachers to learn how to teach phonics because they're not teaching phonics right now, and its reading scores are 44th in the country. That will help us with our literacy crisis in the state, and it'll be an important part of the school budget, which is let's get the letters training, let's get the early childhood spending, and With that, let's also put in place accountability through the third grade reading law budget implementation bill.
How do you learn to read if you don't sound out the words? My mother was a school teacher, 5th grade. Literacy was her passion, helping kids to read, including her own children. Mom, how do you say this? Sound it out. Mom, what's this word? Sound it out. What do you mean they're not teaching phonics in school? What, the Chromebook and the technology you flop in front of the kids and go doom scroll at your desk? That's not getting kids educated? I'm shocked to hear that. Get the computers out of the classroom, get the teachers engaged, teach kids to actually read. Michigan's fallen to 44th in education. It's shameful. Absolutely shameful. Mississippi is setting the gold standard. Where are you, Michigan? And you want high-speed rail? Give me a break. I'll be right back. All right. These democratic socialists. Democrat is just it's a mirage. It's there as camouflage, and they'll promise you everything. Oh, we're going to give you this, and it'll be free food, free shelter, free daycare, of course, free school, free college, free everything, especially if you're here illegally. But my next guest says the governor of Kentucky, Governor Beshear, puts politics in front of foster kids. Let's talk about it with Allison Ball. She serves as the auditor for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Allison, good morning.
Good morning.
What are you talking about here when you say the governor of Kentucky is putting kids behind politics? I think we have a little issue. We'll be right back. That's all right. It's what happens sometimes, high tech. Or maybe it's the deep state plowing us under. I don't know. He'll get her back here in a second. Anthony's a master at this. We have little issues all the time that you never see. It's okay. We'll just take a look at the headlines and see what's happening right now. What about transgender kids continuing in sports? Well, in California, they're going to allow boys to continue in girls' sports because the Supreme Court failed to actually strike it down. They said the states that have struck it down are legal to do so, but the states can decide. The court ruled 6-3 to uphold state laws to protect women's sports from men, trans athletes. California, one of 23 states in the country that don't have laws to protect women's sports, and since 2014 has had a law in place to protect the rights of boys who want to pretend they're girls. Newsom's office said the Supreme Court ruling will not impact California's setup. He's all for girls getting pushed out. He doesn't care about Title IX. The Supreme Court's decision does not affect California's laws. The state remains committed to ensuring every Californian, including the LGBTQ plus community, is met with dignity and respect, he told Fox News Digital. A source within Newsom's office provided Fox a bulleted list titled as Governor Newsom has the strongest record in the country on protecting and expanding transgender rights. Great. That's a reason to vote for him. The list included several bragging points, including making it easier to update gender markers on official documents, and appointed multiple trans judges. The list concludes by pointing out California is one of 22 states that have laws requiring transgender students to participate in sports consistent with their gender identity. California passed the law in 2013, signed by Governor Jerry Brown back then. So it is. Anthony, you got an update for me?
Working on it.
He's working on it. Well, those things happen. Sometimes if you have issues, Here's a fraud update for you. Fraud is happening all over this country, so let me give you an update on this one. House Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith of Missouri spoke about the first anniversary of the passage of the Working Families Tax Cut. When we were here the last time, it was literally the fight that I was having with the United States Senate trying to get one big, beautiful bill done. But then he said what they found in looking through these programs is fraud. A burrito stand, they found.
I have Allison here.
Set up as a hospice. We'll get back to that. Set up as a hospice, a burrito stand, taking your tax dollars. All right, Allison, welcome back to the program. Sorry about the hiccup there. What is Governor Beshear doing to put kids behind politics?
So it's a great question. So one of the really exciting things happening this week from Washington, D.C. is the release of the Trump accounts for children across America. And unfortunately, there was a loophole that existed in the Trump accounts that excluded foster kids. Now, the good news is that the First Lady released a few weeks ago a fix to this loophole. And it allows foster kids to participate in these Trump accounts so they can have a nest egg. One of the things that we have found is that when kids reach 18, when they age out of foster care, a lot of times they don't have any resources at all. So this would be a tremendous game changer for kids in foster care. But the really sad part is that states have to agree to participate in this program. And Governor Beshear has not agreed to allow foster kids in Kentucky to utilize these accounts. There's no cost to him. It doesn't cost Kentucky anything. This is a total win for foster kids in Kentucky. There's no reason at all not to allow kids to participate in these kinds of accounts. All I can think is that it has the name Trump on it. I can't help but wonder if it was a Biden account or a Harris account, if Governor Beshear would be all in for it. But that's one reason why I have weighed in on this. My office does a lot of work on foster kids and protecting foster kids and those who are vulnerable. So we wanted to sound the alarm, put some pressure on Governor Beshear so that way he sees how important this is for foster kids across Kentucky. This is something that's available to foster kids all over the United States, but governors have to opt in to do it. And I'm asking Governor Beshear to opt in.
It's bizarre. It costs the state nothing. It's a chance for foster kids who often have nothing to have something, and get a chance, a head start, if you will. I think the Trump accounts are brilliant. And you've seen all these billionaires step in and fund this thing. A lot of the money isn't even coming from us. It's just coming from people putting into the pot to spread the wealth, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. In fact, I was looking through a list the other day of all the companies and all the private individuals who've said, hey, we will donate funds so that way kids across America have a nest egg when they're an adult. I think it's a tremendous plan for kids across the United States. It's going to help them with their college education. It's going to help them get set up with a home, whatever it is that they need as they're launched as adults. This is going to be a dramatic help to them. And I'm just excited that foster kids are not being left out of this. And that's why I'm encouraging Governor Beshear, don't let the fact that it's called a Trump account stop you. Don't see this as a win for President Trump or anything like that. See this as a win for foster kids in Kentucky. And Governor Beshear, I don't think, is alone in doing this. So anybody who has governors who are playing games with this, I would say think about these kids first. Don't think about who gets the credit for it.
Yep, there you go. I don't care who gets the credit for it. Doing the right thing for our children, giving them a chance to have the American dream. And look, Beshear is on Team Socialist. You'd think he'd be all for this, right? I mean, he's part and parcel to this Democrat, the former Democrat, the party formerly known as Democrats, now known as the American Socialist Party. They need to step up and do the right thing. Last word to you.
Absolutely. And it's no surprise Governor Beshear is talking about running for the United States president. So he has national goals in place. All the more reason why he should make sure he does the right thing here. It's kind of baffling to me that he would let politics stand in front of that. But that's what you've seen from Democrats.
Well, there you have it. We encourage the governor to do the right thing, that's for sure. Allison will get her a better lick next time we have her on. But she's right. There's no cost to the state of Kentucky. It'll help out foster kids. It's another great idea from President Trump. And look, it will go forward. And after he's out of office, people will continue to invest in it. It's a great idea. Helping American kids get started with a chance to pay for college, like she said, or pay for a new home, whatever it might be. Start a business, maybe. Whatever it might be. All right, after the break, John James will be here. He's running for governor in Michigan. I wonder how he feels about high-speed rail. I think I'll ask him after the break.
We're always upgrading.
I shared with you a few minutes ago the most ridiculous thing I've heard in this election cycle thus far, outside of the party formerly known as Democrats, who have become socialists. They call themselves Democratic Socialists, but there's nothing democratic about it. But the idea that Michigan needs high-speed rail, that's a priority for Jocelyn Benson, apparently. My next guest is running to be the Republican nominee for governor in Michigan, John James. He's a congressman representing Michigan's 10th congressional district. John, nice to see you this morning.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Now, I'm going to guess that high-speed rail is not on your top list of things to do in Michigan when our roads are broken, our bridges are bad, the dams are in trouble, infrastructure needs help, taxes are too high, regulations are too many. But maybe high-speed rail is right up there for you, too. What do you say to Jocelyn Benson?
I'd say that they're worried about high-speed rail when our kids can't read. As you mentioned, they're worried about high-speed rail when they're releasing violent criminals back on our streets to continue terrorizing our families. They're worried about high-speed rail when people and our children are leaving our state to find better opportunities. The Lansing regime under Gretchen Whitmer has been railroading Detroiters, has been railroading Grand Rapidians, has been railroading Yoopers for the past 7.5 years, and that ends in the next 6 months. We need to come together as a state and focus on what's going to bring us forward to a more prosperous end, making Michigan great again. And Jocelyn Benson is off on her red herring mission to distract from the fact that they're spending $20 billion more than they had during the height of COVID, and our roads are still not fixed, and people have still lost hope.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of fool's errands that people run. Look, this morning, gas in Indiana is $3.12. In Michigan, around Lansing, it's $4.19. It's $1.07 less per gallon in Indiana. By the way, their income tax is half of what Michigan has. The investment in Indiana is off the charts. Indiana, Ohio, they're eating our lunch, John. They really are, because they have better policies. Plus, Michigan is losing people. We need to do better.
We will do better starting in the next 6 months. Look, Democrats love to point at Trump for all their problems, whether it's gas prices or the weather. But the fact of the matter is their terrible policies that have pushed opportunity out and pushed our prices up. Their Green New Deal policies that have forced our electricity bills up. The fact that we have terrible policies here that even though other Great Lakes states have lower gas prices, we have higher gas prices here, both because of taxes and regulations. I have plans, realistic plans, to cut personal income taxes, cut property taxes, and also make it easier to bring additional capacity to lower our energy rates. We don't have to look anywhere outside but ourselves for what we can do. And we're talking about competing with Mexico and China under Democrat failed policies. We can barely compete with Indiana and Ohio. That changes in 6 months when I become the governor.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the Democrat Party. When it was just New York and Mamdani, people just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, that's New York. But it's no longer something you can shrug your shoulders at. This is spreading. It's in Colorado now, in Seattle, this socialist movement. It's not democratic at all, by the way. This is a flashing red lights, take action moment in America. Republicans have to get people's attention, including you on the campaign trail. What are you hearing about this shift? I think it's going to help you. I think it's going to help Republicans in general, because I think that there are a lot of Democrats right now going, who are these people? And don't want anything to do with it. When I hear Bill Maher say my vote's up for grabs, I think it puts Republicans in a better position, but you have to capitalize. What would you say?
Well, you know, Stephen A. Smith, Bill Maher, my parents who are from the Jim Crow South, Democrats who recognize this is a new party. This isn't your parents' Democrat Party. They have been completely captured by the Marxist, socialist extremists who believe this country is evil, who believe we're racist, who believe that we're rotten to the bones. We are not. We're celebrating our 250th anniversary of the greatest nation that's ever been. They want to take us down to the studs with lies. We don't have to look at New York and California. We can look at the Michigan Mamdanis, the Al Sayeds and the Bensons, who have policies that are completely devoid of logic and reason. These are the types of things that are going to result in the same things that we saw in communist Russia that failed when we were growing up. Now those policies are coming home to roost because the academics and the fake news media have lulled a new generation into a sense that socialism is the answer. Socialism is not the answer. The people are the answer. So when I'm governor, we're going to return the rights to the people. We're going to fight against communism, socialism, Marxism, and we're going to stand up for everything our republic stands for. We are not going to put up with the extremists taking over our nation, and Michigan has always stood up for the republic. Republicans have always held this nation together and freed men from bondage, and we will do so again in Michigan.
Yeah, you served this country in uniform. And so for you, it's got to, and anybody that served this country in uniform, it's got to be extra egregious to see these people spit on the American flag and run us down. Now, you're not going to do that. You're going to be out. Independence Day is coming up on Saturday, 250 magical years, most of all. And you're going to be celebrating across northern Michigan, I understand. What are your plans?
We're going to be celebrating campaigning. We're going to be out in northern Michigan. Northern Michigan is the most beautiful place on earth in the summertime, in the wintertime, in spring, and in autumn. Just don't tell the libs because they'll come and change everything for the worse. But anyway, we'll be up here celebrating and campaigning, and I'm excited to see you. Cherry Fest is amazing. But we're getting the truth out. We're letting people know that hope is on the way, help is on the way, and we're going to continue to fight for our republic because this is a blessing from God, and now is our time to stand up.
John, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on socials at John James MI and also my website at johnjamesmi.com.
All right, John, have a great 4th. Good talking to you.
God bless you. Happy Independence Day.
God bless you. Happy Independence Day to you. There you have it. The Republicans trying to overcome this strange socialist wave that's welling up in some place around this country. And I can assure you, look, I'm talking to Democrats who are like, I don't know who these people are. John James, like he just said, raised by 2 Democrats in the Jim Crow South. They don't recognize their party. I think that benefits Republicans, but you've got to capitalize. And I will harp on this until Election Day. 40% of Christians still don't vote. 40% of gun owners still don't vote. You've got to vote if you want to save the Republic. I'll be back. All right. I don't know where you're celebrating Independence Day. I, too, will be in Northern Michigan. I think the Kid Rock nailed it all summer long. He nailed it. There's no greater place than Northern Michigan in July or August or September or year-round, really. Great place. I want to thank you one more time for supporting the song One Nation. #1 Christian song in America. 6 days rolling, and I think it's going to be there for a bit. It's doing really well. We're really proud of it. #4 overall at the moment on the iTunes chart. It's gotten as high as #2. A little push from you. Maybe we can be #1, but right now John Denver's #1. I have to give respect to John Denver, Country Roads, because the soccer team keeps winning, and it's kind of become their theme song. But here's one last chance for you to download One Nation. Listen up.
From prayer to purpose to a promise that still stands. From Rav's own Steve Gruber comes One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project. A powerful new American anthem for the 4th of July. Faith, freedom, and unity in every line. A new release through Real America's Music. One Nation. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search One Nation by Steve Gruber and the Freedom Project on iTunes.
One nation under God, may we always be the home of the brave and the land of the free. For every battle, blood was lost. God bless America, sea to shining sea.
You know, you can send a message to the world with your voice. You certainly can. Thank you for all the support. We appreciate you. Fight the good fight and keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. Remember to celebrate Independence Day with pride. We'll talk to you soon on Daybreak.